In today's webinar, we're going to talk about some reliable modeling techniques when creating parts. Now, whenever you create a part in Inventor, what you need to be cognizant of is the fact that any change that you make in a dimension or anything like that needs to be predictable. You don't want to change a dimension and then the whole model breaks or anything like that. So one of the ways that we can do this is by naming what we call our parameters. You know what parameters are, you haven't actually used it before. Parameters is basically every dimension, every feature input that you give it. So, for an extrusion, the height that you give it, that is sort of the value to a parameter that Inventor automatically gives to your model. So if I had to take a look at, I'm going to put a sketch over here, and you do a circle, and we go look at dimensioning that. So if I type in D for dimension, select it, you'll see that at the top the D62. So that D62 is the sort of the automatic parameter name that Inventor gives to us. Now D62 doesn't really mean anything. I mean D0, D1, D10, D1000. So if you had to go look at the parameter manager and you saw these D and a number behind it, you wouldn't know what it's actually controlling. So what you can do is you can give it a name, and from this you can say straight from the bat you can say length, or you see diameter maybe. Diameter equals, what is that, 16, so let's make it 20. See, it turns black, and there we go. So you can see there now diameter equals 20. Okay, so how can we use this more effectively with this model? So I've actually created some parameters already. So if I take a look in my parameters manager over here, right at the bottom over here, you'll see there I've got some user parameters. Now, my user parameters are something that I will create, and it will then drive the model parameters we're setting up over here. One of the advantages of having a user parameter is that if I delete the feature that it's attached to, it doesn't delete the parameter. Whereas in model parameters, it will delete that parameter over there. Okay, so over here you can see I've got a couple of parameters, and then I can say, if I change this to 50, you'll notice there it updates in the model over here. And OA width, let's take it to 75. You'll see that the width increases, sort of across the screen there. Now, yes, this can be quite tedious. I mean, if I've got a lot of different parameters and I've got to go and sort of change each one of these individually, it does take quite a while. And to access it, I've got to go to FX parameters. I've got to scroll all the way down over here, down to the bottom for the user parameters. Or in that takes a while. Or I can just use my my filters. So I can say maybe renamed. Okay, so it does put it over there, but still you can see, I've got to go and select all of those over there. So one way we can use one thing that we can do is we can go create an iLogic form. So iLogic is a technology that's implemented into Inventor, which allows us to kind of give logic to our model. So if-then statements. So for instance, I can say if the length is 100, then the width must be 65. If the length equals 150, then the width must be 90. I'm not going to show you how to do the iLogic stuff, but there is another part of the iLogic where I am able to control the model through the parameters, and that's called the iLogic form. So with the iLogic form over here, I can go to my forms. Sorry, if you don't see this iLogic, iLogic up over here next to the model, click on the plus button and you'll see there iLogic. Okay, so you'll see there rules, forms, global forms, external rules. So I'm going to go click on forms, right click in the space over here and add form. Now it's going to bring up this form editor over here, and it gives up a little preview of what the form is going to look like. So I'm just going to say model edit. You can put anything you want in there. And over here you can see there I've got some user parameters which I'm then able to add to this. So I'll be able to modify or edit the height, the width, and the depth of this model through my form I've got over here. So I'm just going to go and hold down Shift Select and drag it up into our model editor over here. Okay, so I just missed the depth. Okay, let's put it up over there. So now you can see in my form over here, it's actually now starting to put in the height, the width, and the depth. Now, obviously you might not want to see it as OA height, OA width, or OA depth. So I can just come in here and just go and edit it. height, width, and depth. And click on OK. So click on model edit over here, and it brings up this form. Now, what can I do with this? So the one thing is this form is actually directly connected to the parameters in your parameter manager. So if I now say height must be 75, okay, right, it's now controlling my parameters directly in there. So I don't need to now go and open up my parameters manager. I've got this form right over here already. And you can do some iLogic, iLogic coding so that whenever you open up this part, it'll automatically bring up that form and you can start editing. Another thing we can also do is, let me just go change my model parameters over here. So if I go to the model parameters, sorry, my user parameters, I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to say make a multi-value. So why I'm using this is maybe I want this part to only have standard values that only I can then go and edit, or whoever opens up can only edit it to those values that I set. So I'm going to say this must be, say, 60, and let's go make it 90. Add. So now you can see that I've got 60 and I've got 90, and there's no other values that I can actually put in there. So how does that affect our form? So let's go to our iLogic form, and you'll see over here. Okay, I just need to go edit this form over here quickly. So let's go edit the form. So it hasn't actually propagated into that over there. So okay, so I'm just going to go and delete this quickly. So delete. Okay, and then I've got my height again. Just drag it in here. Okay, and then you'll see the height. There's a little drop-down arrow over there. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to go and just do that over there. Let's just drag this up to the top because I want that to be my top parameter. So go back to my model edits, and you'll see there now I've actually got a drop down, and the drop down now just gives me access to those values over there. Okay. So as you can see, this iLogic, the iLogic forms are quite useful. When it comes to actually sort of changing parameters or changing values. So even in my iProperties, I can say, right, do I want to change the part number, the stop number? So when this form comes up, for instance, if a part has to go out and there are certain iProperties that you need to fill in, make it part of the form so that you can actually see what's been populated very quickly and what hasn't been populated. Because as you know, to get to those iProperties, we have to right-click on the name in the browser over here, and then go to iProperties, and then now go to your project, your status, your custom, your save, and your physical, or to put in iProperties over here. Whereas if you've got your iLogic form, it's very quick and easy to be able to go insert those values over there. Okay, so iProperties, let's go description, for instance. So I go model edit, description. This is my description. And now that has been populated into my iProperties over here. So there is my description. So great. So that's just another way that iLogic and your iLogic forms can help you when modeling up and in Inventor, and just having it be a little bit more reliable, where you're able to input information and change the dimensions. Thanks very much for watching.